It'd be helpful if I talked into the mic.
I don't think it was on.
So the question is relates to this ranking topic that Mike now has up on the screen, this M1. There is, let's say we've been working apples and oranges as relates to a few elements of that. So does the committee, would you like to talk about that now or when we do the final ranking?
Because I'm looking at my ranking.
Do it now?
As
Okay.
Mike is going through the presentation. And
So then, Mike, let's go through that, what we just went through a minute ago with council.
Okay.
And this relates to the management considerations ranking. I think we'll find that probably each of us may have been doing it a different way, or at least I know I have. So let's take it from the top, Mike.
So we developed this manual, right, to be your guide.
Mike, you want to speak into the mic?
Yep. We did this manual to be your guide and to help you in how you evaluate the properties. And I can't say, that it was a perfect effort, but it was just some way to try and create a system for you to use. So the item number 5, management considerations, was strictly based more on the habitats and the ease of restoring and management. It doesn't make any mention of who is going to be involved, whether if it's a conservation easement and it's up to somebody else to restore it. It's more just based on how easy it would be to manage and restore the property. And based on that, so let's say you have, and let's say we're looking at Bull Hammock today, because we're not, right? That's a 5,000 acre property. It's surrounded by other conservation areas. That would actually get the highest scores based on our criteria. And the lowest score would be a property that is too small and or degraded, maintenance or reestablishment of natural normal ecosystem processes, highly vulnerable to external impacts. So based,
Mike, if I may interject just for a sec. So if it's close to a property that's currently being maintained, it would be easier to manage. Is that correct?
correct. And it also, it has to do like edge effects. So if you have a private ranch next to this conservation piece, then, and they're not managing it, then you could have more invasive species. Or prescribed fire would be more difficult because you might have smoke-sensitive areas. So managing properties adjacent, larger properties adjacent to other conservation areas is easier to do from a management perspective than smaller and or isolated parcels.
So would that be rated as a 1 or a 100?
It would be rated, all ratings are from 1 to 100. I forgot to mention that. On your ranking form, you're scoring everything from 1 to 100, not 1 to 10, 1 to 100.
Well, let's go back to the property that's next to a property that's currently being maintained and therefore would be easy to manage. Would that be a 1 or would that be a 100?
It would be closer to 100.
Okay. Okay. Any questions on that? John?
Go ahead, go, I'm sorry. You want me to go? You go.
If it's a small lot next to privately owned lots, that would be a 1.
Correct.
Okay. And where do you break down between medium-sized and large properties?
I mean, that's up to your discretion, but I would think, we're looking at properties that could be thousands of acres, we're looking at properties that are hundreds of acres, and we're looking at one property that's 1 acre. So,
But just to clarify for Dan and for all of us, the rating scale is in all of these categories with the exception of number 7. We rank it from 1 to 100.
I thought it was 1 to 10.
yeah, no,
that's why
We could add a 0 after that. I'm sure.
yeah.
I was going to say
Is
that
that helpful? I mean,
I'm persuaded if a property is going to be managed by the South Florida Water Management District or the Wildlife Commissioner or whatever, that is a plus in terms of management consideration for the county. So the county doesn't have to spend money to do that.
So that's a lower score.
That's,
A higher
Higher
score.
scores.
Higher score.
so that would be a higher score if the state or somebody's going to manage it. And that's not on your list this way, but that's the way I voted.
That's the way I did too.
I agree. I mean, for us as a board, how can we not consider Martin County taxpayer dollars? I mean, I understand how you wrote the criteria, but I have a hard time not factoring in the use of Martin County resident taxpayer dollars for management.
Well, and there's certainly, it would be hard to get these things perfect.
Yeah.
This is just meant to be a guide to help you in evaluating these properties. So yeah, there are going to be things that are missed in terms of things that could be considered. And we can certainly at some point go back and update the manual too, reflective of things like this.
Yeah, if other funding sources are used to manage the property, I would say that's certainly a plus, whether it's privately owned, in an easement, or the district, or
Yeah, and
some other source.
I don't think the committee or even the county knows when they negotiate, well, until after they negotiate the deals, whether or not, like, if the district is a partner, whether or not the county's going to manage it or the district is going to manage it, and I know from what I've seen with my service at the district, there are a lot of times where we just say, okay, county, you manage this property, or we turn it over to Fish and Wildlife Service or the Park Service, or depending upon where it is. I do want to note that in every one of the FNI reports, there's an edge effect
Yes.
ratio that's provided, which may help guide us, maybe not. I don't know, I had a little trouble figuring it out.
I did too.
So here's a question. We're not going to be ranking the estimated cost per acre. Should we not also be doing management considerations? I mean, is it material that we,
I think that's pretty material, Jim.
okay,
I think we shouldn't rank it.
okay,
I think,
We're wrong, and
okay.
Mr.
So
Chair,
we'll stay the course.
I think it's consistency that matters.
yes, yes.
Okay, so just to summarize, if I've got this right, Mike, if it's adjacent or near a larger property that's being currently managed, then it would be a higher ranking. If it's not adjacent to a current property, or it may be problematic in terms of maintenance, it'd be a lower ranking.
Yeah. Or if it might be a little bit smaller, but it's adjacent to a bunch of conservation areas, then that would be a little higher too. It might not be as high as a large property with contiguous to other natural areas, but it would certainly bump it up if it's adjacent to other conservation lands, even if it's not, even if it's like a 10, 20 acre parcel.
Got it. Thank you, Mike, for explaining that.
I have another question regarding the factor number 1, the relation to SERP. If they're not within SERP, but they're in an IRL or one of the other categories, we still rank them. I think I answered my own question when I read it out loud, relation to SERP.
Yeah, I've been doing, if it's in SERP or in the footprint, I've been giving it somewhere between an 85 and 100, depending on how close to the edge it is or that sort of thing, or 75 to 100, because I've been using 0 to 25, 25 to
Oh, that's a good
50,
idea.
et cetera. But if it's adjacent, like SERP adjacent, it gets a higher score than if it's not even anywhere near a SERP project.
Thank you for that. That helps, Beth.
Dan, any questions on that, or are you?
No, I'm
are you
good. I think I'm good.
Yeah, but it's.
Yeah, because I was confused, so I think it's helpful to air it.
We need to go back and re-rank the ones we did a couple months ago.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Okay, Michael, you're on.
I got to get back into my presentation, so you have to give me a
I'll take this time, if I can, to answer the prior question that was posed regarding the property taxes.
Yeah.
And so I just researched it during our break, and Yes, there is a tax break is the short answer. How much of a tax break? It depends on the conservation easement. If it's not in perpetuity, i.e. not forever, then it's a 50% reduction in taxable value. If it is in perpetuity, it is an exemption from property taxes.
From the ag.
Yeah, it's not, they're not paying taxes on that, yeah. If it's, and everything we're discussing is in perpetuity.
Yes.
So it is effectively being removed from the tax roll.
So anything that moves forward, whether it's a conservation easement or a fee simple acquisition, by this board is removing it from the tax roll.
Yes, it appears so.
And that was a state
State statute.
statute
Yeah.
that was fairly, what was the date when that?
I don't know what date it was enacted, but it's 193-501 and 196-26.
Okay.
I'm pretty
So-
sure that was it was a constitutional amendment too. It was like on the state, one of their state referendums that made that, that the people voted for that.
Now these were always highly likely, these were properties that were ag to begin with, then had an exemption put on them, which reduced them. So they're already pretty depreciated in terms of the tax roll.
Yes.
So, anyway, I just
Thank you.
wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
All right, so our next property that we're putting forward for your consideration, actually series of properties, is known as Poinciana Gardens. Mini Palmar, basically. So it's 225 acres, and it's a mix of government, but primarily privately owned lots. Includes pine flatwoods, depression marshes, and a large slough system. It also would help to buffer Atlantic Ridge. This is called the Medalist parcel of Atlantic Ridge, is right along its western side. It falls within the Loxalucy acquisition area. You can maybe make out the little bit of green on there. So it's in this top corner of the area right here. It is within the Florida Wildlife Corridor, same designations, and this is where it is within the corridor. So it would be right on the edge, the northeastern edge of the Florida Wildlife Corridor for this area. These would be fee simple acquisitions, but given its nature, finding funding partners would be limited.
What do you mean, why so?
Because it's because of one, the piecemeal nature of the parcels, so it's the smaller lots, and it doesn't have an obvious thing that we could apply for funding for. The quality of the habitat tends to be mixed. There are some areas that, and these actually were pictures taken from those properties. So some of the areas look pretty good, have some nice big open marsh habitat or pine flatwoods. But then there are other areas, like the area on the left, that has dense exotic infestations. And off-road vehicles are a major, major issue in this area, with several portions being pretty degraded by the use of off-road vehicles. In terms of management considerations, you have to look at the parcel sizes are pretty small. It has some adjacency to government-owned property on the west side with Atlantic Ridge, and I think the county owns maybe 35 acres of land within that area. You also have exotic vegetation is prevalent in sections, and it would be difficult to complete management responsibilities due to the small lot sizes. In terms of rare and listed species, this is kind of a little bit dubious. There's a little bit of scrubby flatwoods habitat on the east side, so it lists some species we didn't find in other areas, including perforated reindeer lichen, large flower rosemary, nodding pimwood, and Florida scrub lizards. So those are your dry pine forest scrub habitats tend to have all those species, and the others being sandhill cranes and wood storks. And you can see the the scrubby flatwoods is this area right here. So it's, I don't have the acreage in front of me, but, it's probably matches up with this 26 acres that you see for the reindeer lichen and the scrub lizard. So about 10% of it's going to be that rare habitat. In terms of recreational opportunity, it would be difficult unless the county is able to acquire most, if not all, the lots. But if we did, there would be some pretty decent recreational opportunities that you can route in from the surrounding areas. The development potential, theoretically, each lot could be developed. And that's at about 5 houses per acre. And I kind of did a rough count. And based on the number of lots, there could be roughly 800 residences on these properties. There are challenges due to a lack of roads and need to mitigate from wetland impacts. And I'll scroll back up and show. So those are all the lots. So each of those could be a house, and these other areas could be roads. So it has actually been subdivided. It just hasn't been developed. And you can kind of see the development pattern. Like, this is what you would expect from this area is what the development pattern is to its east.
Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
These were platted, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the 30s or even before,
Maybe after, so 50s and 60s, I
50s
think.
and 60s?
Yeah.
And how come they haven't been developed?
Probably because of how wet they are and,
So they could be developed, but they still have all the limitations because of the habitat.
correct.
And what is the zoning?
Up to 5 houses per acre, I believe. So I don't remember what that actual designation is. What's that?
That's what, on the screen, it says 5.
Yeah. But I don't remember what the actual, like, zoning, R5 or whatever. What's that?
Would that be R3 or R4?
One of those, yeah. And I looked at it, and I just don't remember what it was. If you really want to know, I could pull up a map that shows
No,
it.
it's fine.
So, any rate, any public comment or committee discussion?
Charles, was this the one you wanted to talk about? Okay. Public comment? No. Dan? Or Vicky?
I'm good. I remember when they developed this, the developer was I think his name was Mr. Land at the time. And I think we had a recession, and that's what stopped the
Because did this come before the commission, something about this, like a decade ago?
I don't remember.
You don't remember, okay.
I can remember 50, 60 years ago, but I can't remember last year.
Well, what can I say?
I know there have been some interests that have been trying to acquire lots on a larger scale and then potentially turn it into a development of some kind.
Yeah.
Oh, for that one?
Vicky or John Keller?
Help me on the location. Is this sort of part of Loxalucy, and is it also part of connecting Atlantic Ridge to Jonathan Dickinson?
Well, so here is our Loxalucy map. And so the parcels are right up here. And then this is the area of trying to connect Jonathan Dickinson to Atlantic Ridge. So it wouldn't directly make the connection down between the two, because if it's really, these properties are the ones here that would need to be acquired for that to happen. But it is within the same system and contributes ecologically to the whole Loxalucy natural area.
Okay, I think that's important. I didn't quite hear that.
I'll try and focus on that, how
Well,
it can contribute to creating a connection between the two parks.
Yeah, because that's highly material, Mike, I think.
Yeah, so here is Atlantic Ridge State Park, is this area right in green, and then this is called the Medalist parcel right here. So actually I was wrong, it connects directly to what is the main portion of Atlantic Ridge State Park here. Here's Cal Patioki here, and then here's Jonathan Dickinson right here. So the whole, one of the big goals of Loxalucy is to secure this area right in here to have basically one giant super park. But another potential could be if, this is the Whitworth parcel right here, this is the Canopus property right here. So another potential connection could be a western leg going through this area.
But on this property, is there a chance that state will participate or take over, take it up, include it, attach it to Atlantic Ridge?
I think it would be difficult to find a partner because of the small lot sizes. So if this were like one big polygon and it was all just one property owner, it would definitely be on radar to acquire and protect.
How many property owners are there?
I think it was close to 800. Now, some of those might be the same person, but there's 800
800
parcels.
lots.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have access to the current SERP Atlantic Ridge component map?
I have the one I pulled up for Whitworth, right there.
Okay, so it's, the piece below it is on the edge, but I don't think this piece is within that footprint, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, there is a possibility, I don't think the district would want to participate in something like this, but,
I think they've got enough to do with Palmer.
yeah. But, well, and like larger pieces, though, if it were one that could be used as a natural land to, once again, offset impacts elsewhere and could be used in the cost share, we could have a conversation with them about incorporating it.
Barrett, question?
No, not. No.
No, I'm good.
David?
All right. Our next up is our Leonard property. This is our third and final one that we've been asked to review by the Rural and Family Lands Program. So this one is a 229-acre property that is a mixture of pasture and large cypress sloughs. It is an agricultural easement with active cattle ranching on the property, not contiguous to any public lands. I will say that this owner has offered this property for fee simple acquisition, but what they were asking was, I think it was $30 million for a 250-acre property. So, we wouldn't have any interest at that price in acquiring it fee simple. This shows it in the Loxalucy acquisition zone. It's not in what I had included in Loxalucy, but it certainly meets the intent of the Loxalucy acquisition zone, even if it didn't get a polygon. It is adjacent to, but not within the Atlantic Ridge Florida Forever boundary. Now, once again, with Florida Forever, you can amend the boundary, so we can go to the state and request an amendment to Florida Forever to get it included if we wanted to. But the fact that Rural and Family Lands is interested means that we wouldn't probably need it to be in Florida Forever. Here's the Florida Wildlife Corridor. According to FNA, roughly 74% of the property is within the Florida Wildlife Corridor. And once again, this is an agricultural easement acquisition. It's being evaluated by Rural and Family Lands Program for funding, and they requested a county contribution. So basically, once again, if the state were to come to an agreement with the landowner to acquire it, we would be spending half the funding. We wouldn't be doing this on our own. We wouldn't be requesting this agricultural easement, other than the fact that we have a state partner that's interested in the acquisition.
So effectively, we'd be spending, in theory, 25 cents on the dollar.
Correct. In terms of the habitat quality, roughly 41% of the property is improved pasture, and wetland habitat makes up most of the remaining acreage. The natural portions of the site appear to be in good conditions with little in the way of hydrologic impacts. So once again, there would be no management responsibilities for Martin County, and the easement, we could look to include requirements for maintaining exotic vegetation and to protect natural communities on the property. But that's, once again, if you incorporate those things, then you're looking at what be a little more than a quarter on the dollar,
Yep.
you know, for ecological services. In terms of listed species, you have sandhill cranes and wood storks. Personally, I could see, you know, with all these kind of ranch lands, you know, you having some caracara in the area. And there were other species, but they're more associated with scrubby flatwoods, and I don't see those on the property, so I didn't include them. And roughly 20% of the property is what we consider to be rare habitat, which is strand and dome swamp. There would not be a public access component to this project. In terms of the development potential, it has an agricultural land use and zoning designation. Based on that current zoning, there could potentially be 12 residences. And there is significant wetlands on the property, as you've seen, which would be a hindrance to development, but there are some substantial areas of unimpacted and upland habitat that would be available for development.
But it'd be kind of hard to even get a road in there to get them out.
Well, they would be allowed to build a road. Like you can't prevent use of the property. So, but they would have to minimize where they put it and avoid wetlands to the maximum extent possible.
That-
Yep.
Any public, Charles? Okay. In fact, no, okay. Dan,
I'm good.
I'm good.
Vicki, John Keller?
This is on, on the south side of Bridge Road.
Correct. So going back to the original aerial, so Bridge Road is right up here. The county owns property right over here, which is kind of off the aerial.
You
I don't know
know,
if there's a good map to show it.
I'm sure you'll tell me I'm nuts, but
You're nuts.
30 or 40 years from now, I worry that Bridge Road will be 6 lanes wide and have Arby's on the right and McDonald's on the left. And anything we can do to put chunks of Bridge Road into environmental easement is just a wonderful long-term thing for the whole community.
Yeah, and on the previous rural and family lands proposals, you know, those areas were all most of the property was impacted, if not all the property was either improved pasture or heavily degraded habitat. This property actually has good habitat on it and an owner that wants to protect it. I think the reason why their asking price for a fee simple was so high is because they want to hold on to the property, but they like the idea of seeing it protected.
So this is an expensive piece.
To buy it would be, but I don't know what agricultural easement will look like. I doubt that the state would use $30 million as its basis for determining the appraised value to then pay half or a little bit more. Usually they come in a little more than 50%. So I doubt that they would use 30 million as the baseline to determine what the ag easement would cost. But anything in the Bridge Road area right now is going to be pretty pricey.
And how,
Also worth putting into a long-term easement,
Yeah.
frankly, to me.
yeah. How close is it to, I'm sorry if I,
Character of the community.
how close is it to JD Park boundary?
It's a ways. So it's right up here.
Okay.
And JD is right there. If we were ever, and we, you know, we were interested in trying to bring Canopus forward, which is this property here, but we hadn't gotten far enough, you know, or we haven't even identified who to talk to with Canopus. If Canopus ever came into play, if that were ever acquired or an easement were acquired, then suddenly that makes this property much more relevant because then you have a way into Jonathan Dickinson State Park because it's right here.
And it's not within, I mean, all of the county east, west, and central flowways are to the east of there, right?
Correct.
Say, Mike, something we should put on a future agenda. Some of us have pretty good connections with some of these landowners, either directly or indirectly. I'm thinking of some of the people that supported Martin County forever are extraordinarily wealthy people and well-connected. So at some point, once we've gone through a few properties, we should just see if any of us do have some of the connections where we can facilitate your dialogue.
Well, kudos to Vicki Davis, who was like pretty passionate about the Whitworth property to begin with and started that process of tracking down that landowner. So,
But let's, for example, when we have a quiet period, not like today, but let's just brainstorm that. Let's just put that on the agenda if we could, please.
and we can talk to individual committee members directly if a committee member were interested in trying to pursue creating a connection to these landowners.
Yeah, like I did last week.
Yes,
But let's just, if we could just put that on the agenda, it'd be great.
sure.
Okay, moving forward. Tom, Beth, David?
I mean, I know where this property is. I don't know the owner. I don't know the property. But, anytime we can partner and have, really save the taxpayers' money and also preserve land, I think is a win. And I've definitely heard the concerns from the community about Bridge Road, as we heard. So I think that's definitely something we should look at.
Thank you. Great, Mike.
Our next up is Julian Rogers Atlantic Ridge property. So this is an aerial of his property. This is Poinciana Gardens area right here. It's a smaller property. It's 3 acres, dominated by wetlands, but it could act as a buffer to Atlantic Ridge State Park. It's primarily disturbed wetlands with a very small area of scrubby flatwoods on the eastern end. It falls within the Loxalucy acquisition zone. So this is actually adjacent to what's called the Medalist parcel over here. It's going to be right up in this top corner, right up here. It's pretty much in the Florida Wildlife Corridor, just within the corner of it, right up in this area. It would be a fee simple acquisitions. Options for funding partners would be limited. However, there's a possibility that the owner would accept less than appraised value for it. I can't say that, set that in stone, but we've had a lot of conversations with this landowner. In terms of the habitat quality, they at one point were a deeper wetland open water system, and due to hydrologic changes in the region, it's now shifting and becoming more of a shrubby swamp. And there was a small area cleared along the eastern edge. Management considerations, it is adjacent to a large tract of publicly held conservation. Oops, I disregard what I said about Hungryland Wildlife and so basically it has a small size, but it could be easily managed because of the small size. Since it's only, a few acres in size, it wouldn't be a huge investment to try and improve the ecology of it. So here are your listed species: scrub lizards, sandhill cranes, potentially scrub jays, and that little bit of scrubby flatwoods and wood storks. However, given the small size of the property, the value to rare and listed species is going to be limited. One of the biggest benefits is that the property could provide access to the Atlantic Ridge Medalist property, which is landlocked currently. There is some, I don't think that the local residents are too keen on the idea of providing access through there, but, if we could, you could route people into Atlantic Ridge from that area because this area is currently landlocked. There's really no way for the public to get out there and explore and enjoy it currently. It has a county redevelopment area designation, but the wetlands on site would make development difficult. And that's it.
Any public comment? Okay. Dan,
I'm good.
Vicki,
I'm good.
John Keller?
You had a picture of this with a golf course just north of it. Is that the Medalist?
Yeah. It is.
Yes.
So it's just south of the Medalist. Okay, I understand
Yes.
where it is. I don't know where the picture is. Not there.
Yeah, I should have zoomed out a little bit more on that.
Oh, there you go. That was it right back there.
But,
One more. There you go.
yeah, so here's the golf course up here. This
There,
is
that's the picture.
MacArthur Golf Course that's being expanded right here, and their existing golf course.
County can't work some deal with them to get access to the north side of this?
No, nothing.
No, nothing.
David?
Yes.
The problem is parking too,
Yeah.
so.
But that could be developed, right? It's right next to development.
Oh, definitely, I would.
But it is wet, so you're gonna have,
It's a wetland.
you know, most of
Well,
the
it's
stuff
wet.
we're bringing forward are wetland. So you're gonna have to deal with that, but you could certainly, at least get a house in there.
Okay. Let's go to the next one, please.
All right, the second one is the Conservation Fund Julian Rogers parcel. It's a 4.5 acre property that could help link Jonathan Dickinson and Atlantic Ridge State Park. The property was acquired by the Conservation Fund, a private land trust. I will say it's not shown on here, but this is actually a county-owned property right here. This is the go-kart track, and this is an old landfill site that the county still controls and manages. This also could be a potential location for western flowway to Kitchen Creek.
Mike, excuse me, question, can you go back to is it a 4.5 acre piece of property or a 15 acre piece of property? I had two conflicting numbers as I went through. I think it's 15 because I went to the property appraiser site too to confirm.
Also, the trees on the southwestern extent of that property are also owned by the conservation.
Gotcha.
It's an additional
Now, is this Bridge Road?
It's Bridge Road, yeah.
Yeah, I think in this case, I copied and pasted the acreage.
I think it's
provided by
15,
So I apologize, it's 15.
It is 15.
Yeah.
yes.
So this shows its location within the Loxalucy acquisition zone. You can see it's right down in this area right here, and you can also see this little orange line. That is a county-owned right-of-way that has been included as a concept for a western flowway to Kitchen Creek. It is within the Florida, Atlantic Ridge Florida Forever project boundary, which is right here. Important point to make is that since the property is now owned by the Conservation Fund, any money they get from the sale could be used for acquiring other conservation lands. So, you know,
In
So-
Martin County?
that would be up to the Conservation Fund, but they're certainly actively acquiring properties in Martin County at this point in time.
Any money we didn't spend on it would be money we could use to get
That's,
more.
that's a fair point, yeah.
So-
Entire property has been impacted with weedy species, and there's limited habitat value. Although restoration of the property would be labor-intensive, we could use it to create a wetland system or a stormwater treatment area type feature to store water to support the goals of regional watershed restoration, AKA restoration of Kitchen Creek and the northwest fork of the Loxahatchee River. And I will say that the Conservation Fund has actively been out there removing exotic vegetation from the property. Once again, it's all impacted habitats, so you're not going to have any rare habitats. And currently, other than Florida sandhill cranes, there's little in the way of listed species. So the idea is that you could help create a greenway trail system connecting Atlantic Ridge to Jonathan Dickinson State Park. This would have to be a part of a larger program to acquire other lands before that could happen. In addition, we could build a wetland lake feature, and you could provide public access facilities. So this is, for instance, a central flowway of Kitchen Creek, a county preserve area. You know, we have a parking area, and the public can walk around, go fishing around the lake. It's actually fairly popular in that area. It has an agricultural land use zoning designation, so theoretically, actually, since it's 15 acres, I think you still could just put like one house out there. And public comment?
Charles?
Heisenberg, I'd never got a willing seller.
Last Lux Lucy property.
Yeah. Yeah, Heisenberg expressed an interest, but never actually provided a willing seller.
Did you get my email as well?
Did you just send them?
I did. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Donaldson, the field representative for the Conservation Fund in Florida. Just like to start off by saying thank you all for your time and consideration on all of these properties, and thank you, Mike, for all your work putting together these presentations. The Conservation Fund, or TCF, has been operating in Florida since 1985. It's completed over 250 projects and has protected more than 190,000 acres of land and water. We are a founding member and acquisition partner of the Lox Lucy Headwaters Initiative. The initiative is a protected ecological corridor connecting sources of the Loxahatchee and St. Lucie rivers and forming a preserve for native plants and wildlife, linking a land mass of nearly 70,000 acres. The initiative will provide a vital wildlife corridor, stem urban sprawl, restore degraded wetlands, manage the demand for fresh water, enhance aquifer recharge, and improve water flows to Loxahatchee and St. Lucie rivers. Acquisition, restoration, and protection of land in this area has never been so important. It is the last section of unprotected land that's also undeveloped from Fort Pierce to Homestead. I'll speak specifically about Rogers now. Restoring natural hydrology will increase historic freshwater flows into Kitchen Creek and the Loxahatchee River. The Rogers piece is that parcel on the left. Red represents our acquisitions. The lighter blue arrows are culverts that exist running underneath Bridge Road. They vary in size from 8 to 20 feet in width. The
Inches?
could be inches. Excuse me. Those are culverts that run underneath Bridge Road. The darker blue arrows are either canals. Immediately west of the Rogers piece is a drainage ditch or canal. Also, below the current Kitchen Creek flowway, that canal runs down Kitchen Creek Road into Jonathan Dickinson. The two curved arrows to the left and right of that are the historic flowways into Kitchen Creek, or the eastern portion of Kitchen Creek, rather. The Rogers property, and Mike alluded to this earlier, represents a tremendous opportunity for wetland and flowway restoration, as well as being a part of the broader Florida Wildlife Corridor Connection Project. The existing Bridge Road culverts abutting the property to the east and west are evidence of the existing directional water flow and infrastructure. We believe that the county is best positioned to manage and restore Rogers long-term into a critical piece of hydrological infrastructure in the watershed. Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, or SERP, calls for this kind of implementation, and the initiative and properties like Rogers provide an opportunity to restore existing flows under Bridge Road into the Loxahatchee, and vice versa north of Bridge Road into the St. Lucie. They also serve as a microcosm of broader state and federal efforts to restore flows to the Everglades. This area represents the northeastern extent of the greater Everglades watershed. Our goal with the initiative is to acquire, protect, and preserve the key tracts of land with highest conservation value in a timely and efficient manner. These properties would then be moved into the hands of people who can manage them long-term and enact larger-scale restoration projects. And Merritt, to your question earlier, some of these properties were acquired through fundraised dollars, and as part of that, any dollars that were spent on them would remain in the Lox Lucy focus area.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
it does have SERP benefit,
Yes.
because it says no in the write-up.
It's the SERB project boundary, if I'm remembering the GIS layer correctly, is only in Atlantic Ridge Preserve State Park. However, it does benefit Indian River Lagoon. This is speaking more broadly about it. It's not within the SERB project boundary, but it would enhance flows into SERB projects and benefit the Indian River Lagoon.
I would think so. Makes sense. I think
Yeah,
the
I would,
write-up's
I
wrong.
would qualify it as SERP adjacent or moderately SERP adjacent. I mean, I think it is very important to try to restore that flow. And you have to remember the connectivity between both the Loxahatchee and the St. Lucie River projects. I mean, there's a fine line. So I think the flow is important toward the SERP project, but it's not directly part of the SERP project.
And in conversations we've had with SERP and the Water Management District, if it's not within the project boundary but is adjacent or a connecting parcel, it can be considered.
I think one point I'll make is that, like, if one of the characteristics is the SERP cost share, we couldn't expect that the Water Management District is going to receive cost share credit. So that is a part, but not all of the reason why, SERP is prioritized on our list.
We often use it as an indicator of the ecological value of the property, such as Florida Forever, wildlife corridor connectivity, et cetera.
It's a legal fine line, Mike.
Any other questions for Charles? Dan? John?
No, thank you.
Thank you all.
David? Thank you, Charles. And thank you, Conservation Fund. At that point that the money would still be retained in Martin County is highly material, so thank you.
Which brings us to our next property, which is the Petway property. So the Petway property is a 20-acre property that is within what is considered to be the eastern flowway of Kitchen Creek. It could be used to help restore wetlands in Jonathan Dickinson State Park and support the restoration of the northwest fork of the Loxahatchee River. It falls within the Loxalucy acquisition zone, as you can see in this area right here. It is within the Atlantic Ridge Florida Forever project and the optimum boundary for the state park. So here's your state park here. Here's your property is going to be right over in this area right here. It is a part of the Florida Wildlife Corridor segment and is once again within the Florida Ecological Greenway Network. This is a fee simple acquisition, and we mentioned those funds from the Rogers parcel. We could potentially partner with the Conservancy Fund and maybe Florida Forever program to help to acquire this property. In terms of the habitat quality, it's relatively impacted. You have hydric scrubland with depressional marshes is what came up in the FNA report. The property is fairly overgrown due to a lack of fire. There's some extensive populations of Melaleuca and Old World climbing fern, and overall the area appears to be in fair to poor condition. But it is still native habitat. Given the lack of fire, the successional nature of the habitats, and level of invasive plants, there would be some challenges to manage this property. However, it could be part of a larger restoration project that restores hundreds of acres of swampland in Jonathan Dickinson. I will say that this is an active county project that we're looking at trying to restore this area and create a flowway into Jonathan Dickinson State Park. In terms of listed species, here is the list right here. Once again, some of these are more associated with scrub habitat, which you really don't find on the property. And there's no rare habitats listed. You could use it to create a greenway connection between the two state parks in terms of recreational opportunities, but it would be dependent on other acquisitions, namely this area right here. But you can see it could be a link right here down into Jonathan Dickinson. The development potential is limited due to the extent of wetlands on the property. So the brown areas are going to be your uplands. There's really only a few acres of upland habitat on the property, but a portion of this property is zoned for an industrial land use, while the other is rural density, which is up to 5 per acre. And that is all.
What was the acreage on this?
20 acres.
20 acres.
Charles? Gentleman back? No?
You have to speak in the microphone, please.
Apologies. I would add that we own another parcel immediately to the southeast of this. We call it the theme parcel, and that wetland is contiguous. You can see it there. That's the northeastern portion of that parcel, bordering.
And then this is Jonathan Dickinson State Park right here. So this is under Conservation Fund ownership and management. There's some talk about there's a house on it, right?
There is a residence on the property, yes.
And there's talk of housing a Park Service staff member in that house?
Park staff has been to the property with us and said they would be interested in having it as housing for the park. And as another access to that portion of JD for management purposes.
Yeah, I will say in terms of the Eastern Flowway project, one of the challenges of completing that is we would need an easement through private lands through this section in order to be able to move water through that property. We have had discussions with the owner who is amenable to providing a flowage easement, but we don't have anything set in stone at this point.
Thank you, Charles. Dan, any comments?
I'm good.
Cookie? John?
Charles, is the Conservation Fund willing to spend money for something like this, your funds?
Could you detail that, Charles, a bit?
I have been in short, yes. And we actually have a price in mind. I've spoken with representatives of the owners, plural.
So you would participate with us?
Yes, or we would acquire it outright. Part of the idea for the partnership was that this property is tied up in an heirs dispute and has been for some time, to the tune of 15 to 20 years. There are over 90 heirs on the property and multiple liens, and we currently have a group looking into doing title work for us to understand if there is clear title for the property to be sold. In short.
Okay, that's a plus.
Yep. Mary?
Oh, that's certainly a plus. No other comments, but
No comments.
David?
98.
Thank you, Charles. Okay, next property, please.
Okay, now we are going to switch to our blueways, and I will say the next 3 proposals are in the same area, the same kind of focus. So perhaps I'll do the first one, and then for the second and third, if there's anything additional to add, I'll show the location of it. Then I will provide that information so we can streamline and get these next three done pretty quickly. So the first one is the Jane Wild property, which is the one that's highlighted in red. That's a 6.5 acre wetland dominated property along the South Fork of the St. Lucie River. Helps to protect critically important St. Lucie River shoreline and habitats. The area in blue is the Burstein property, and the area in yellow is the Cresser property. So all three of these parcels have been nominated for acquisition, and we have willing sellers.
What's the name here? It's Jane, it's got a bunch of different names.
Yep, so it's Jane Wild is one, Burstein the next, which is the area in blue, and then Cresser, the third, is in yellow.
Do we have something on James Wild?
That's, yeah.
We do.
What?
Here, John, I've got it.
Is it in the same?
It's hard to read the legend.
Separate odors.
I don't have that.
Okay, no worries, just go for this.
That's all right, it's all right.
Okay.
The red.
Interesting.
Jim, can I just make a general?
Whatever.
comment on this?
Yes.
The same story as Burstein.
Yep, all three have similar, they're the same area, same habitats, same type of values. There is a few differences that I'll go through.
My general comment on this is, I had trouble ranking this because it's so different. The
Yeah.
Blue Ways is so different than the other. We should almost have different criteria, or a different type of ranking system to do this, because it doesn't fall into the same categories. I just found it very hard to get, it should get a better score than what I gave it, in
Yeah.
effect. So maybe it's just me.
I struggled to find a good way to represent the value of the Blue Ways. So there's one, the criteria 10 was specifically designed to boost those scores, but perhaps it should have been a bigger part of it should have been given a higher weight to balance things out, because we do value our Blue Way properties. And, typically you have more rare and unique habitats associated with them. You're protecting the St. Lucie River, which is obviously a huge priority for, the citizens of Martin County. So, and honestly, once we acquire these three, there's only a couple more properties we can even look to acquire along the St. Lucie River. Everything else is wrapped up as PAMPs or county acquisitions, and that's what this map shows. And it's a little hard to read, but the areas in these green colors and these beige colors, those are all represent county properties that are currently owned along the St. Lucie River. So we have several hundred to even, if you include the Halpatioke and Atlantic Ridge, thousands of acres of property and miles of river footprint that we've already set aside and protected. And these three properties would fall right in the middle of that. And as I said, they're some of the last privately owned, undeveloped lands along the South St. Lucie River. This just shows that it falls within the Blue Way zone, which is in this area right here. It's a fee simple acquisition. We would seek funding through the Florida Communities Trust Program, which is administered by Florida Forever, but it's a grant program. So we'd have to actually put in grant applications to seek funding to help acquire them. But it should score pretty well according to their metrics and other grant agencies that look to protect wetland habitats.
Huh.
In terms of habitat quality, there's little evidence of human alteration. You are going to get some invasive plant populations, but the properties appear to be in pretty good condition with minimal restoration and maintenance needs. Once again, one of the issues with management is it would be difficult due to having poor land-based access. You probably need to go in by boat to get to some of these. But once again, the needs, other than doing some invasive plant removal, there wouldn't be a lot of management needs that would be necessary. Most of these pretty much all these properties are either a rare type of hammock habitat or mangrove tidal swamp, which is, even if it's not that rare, is critically important here in Martin County. And you would likely have manatees associated with the mangrove habitat.
And some alligators,
Yes, 100%.
as your neighbor found out.
Well, even actually, and it didn't come up in a report, small-tooth sawfish, could theoretically use these mangrove areas, these shoreline mangroves for habitat. Providing recreational amenities would be difficult just because of it's all swamp. But we could, and if we find any upland areas on any of these, put in a canoe kayak landing and a picnic table for paddle users. Once again, the development potential is limited due to the mangroves and overall wet nature of the property. And development would require mitigation, but it would be possible to build 1 or 2 residences. And in addition, if you build those, you're also not just going to have a house, you're going to have a road to get to the house, which is also impactful to the natural areas.
You can get to it by land. You don't have to go have a boat to get to it.
You can, but so for this one, you'd have to come up through this neighborhood and go through this swamp just to get to this swamp. There is some uplands like right in here. And there is some uplands on this property. I'll go through that. There is probably more developable areas on this because of like the southern half of this is uplands. And in terms of development potential, I can just go through it here. The owner of this Cresser, the owner of this parcel right here, has an easement that would allow him to transverse and create a road through county-owned conservation lands to access this property. It wouldn't be easy. There'd be a lot of mitigation. There'd be mitigation on developing his property, but it is possible that they could build a road through an existing county conservation land.
You have to allow a road.
Yes.
It's an easement of,
And boat access is permitted, but it can't be the primary access to the.
Correct.
it would be an easement of necessity, basically, to not landlock
Right.
that parcel.
So if you want, we can go through them. I'll just skip through. This is the Burstein parcel. That's the blue one right here.
Just interject, is
Yeah.
everybody okay if we jump ahead and go through
Oh,
each
yeah.
one? Tom? Beth,
I just want
Steve?
a quick question about Florida Trust.
Yes.
They require access to the public access? So would it be more difficult to get them as a partner if we don't, because some of these parcels don't have legal access, right?
Well, you could, once again, and you're right. And at one point, the county used to overpromise to Florida Communities Trust and created a world of problems in terms of having to put miles of boardwalks into preserves. But you could put a simple little boardwalking, you could put a kayak launch, you could put
Okay.
a dock. Like, we could probably figure out some kind of access feature to get the points we needed to get
It
FCT
doesn't have to
funding.
be access from land, it can be access from water.
Correct? It can be any number of things.
Just wanted to be clear on that.
But Burstein, this one, you could actually provide access through land. And just from this neighborhood, there's a little uplands area here. You could maybe put a little picnic shelter or something like that. But that would all be basically, we get it as an approved project and then we go to FCT seeking funding. So we can figure that out later.
Mike, before you jump, let's be sure, public comment on that recent property. Charles, gentlemen? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So Burstein, it's this blue one right here. Once again, series of county-owned conservation areas. All these details are the same. This shows the habitat map for the property. So once again, maritime hammock and mangrove habitat. You could potentially put access from the nearby neighborhood and add a canoe kayak launch and a picnic table for paddle users. This shows the development potential. You can see there are actually uplands in this area, and the current land use and zoning would allow up to 2 houses per acre. So you would probably, in this situation, they wouldn't be able to develop the wetlands, but they could put in a few houses in this area of the property in this southeast corner. And then finally, there's Cresser. Yeah.
Any public comment on that one? Okay, go ahead.
Yep. Here's the Cresser property. This is the yellow one. It is directly adjacent to the county-managed Oxbow Preserve, and the owner has an easement of necessity, and so he theoretically could build a road and use it to access this area here. But it is entirely wetland, so building on that property would be a challenge, but he would, by necessity, be allowed to put something out here, some kind of house, some kind of establishment. Just going through. It's pretty much the same thing. For this one, it would be even more difficult to provide recreational activities, amenities, because of how it's just entirely swamp. Getting there would be a challenge. And once again, overall wet nature would be difficult to build on, but they could potentially build 1 to 2 residences. And there's actually a parcel split in here, so they would probably be able to put a house on each parcel or a dock. And that's all for that property.
With the 3.
I have a few comments. Can you go back to one of just the maps on?
That one?
Yes. So I'm fairly familiar with these properties. They're just down the street from down the river where I grew up. I took governing board members of the district and Army Corps members around here. I actually rank them all quite high because I look at them all as a whole, and connecting them as filling in the gaps as part of a greenway corridor. These oxbows hold a lot of rare species that are endemic really to the north and south fork of the St. Lucie River or Loxahatchee. Sword spine snook, mahara, opossum pipefish, bigmouth sleeper. Some of those I know the county examined as trying to get listed as endangered species, specifically to help stop discharges from Lake Okeechobee. And this is the water quality that they're found to live in, this habitat. Recreational opportunities, there are some dry patches where it wouldn't be much, but just like a picnic table or a kayak pull-out rest stop. You could even put a potential small campsite, on some of these. So I rank these as fairly high when I look at it as a whole and zooming out along what the county already owns along the St. Lucie River. This is that natural area of the South Fork that actually makes the St. Lucie separate and biodiverse from a lot of other areas of Florida. When you're looking at these oxbows, it'll go from 5-6 feet in the straight area and jump down to 15 feet. And then another 10 feet beyond that, it'll come back up to that 5 feet. And that depth change in each one of those, U-shaped curves provides really rare habitat that you don't find a lot of other places. So.
Yeah, and that's an
very
interesting
helpful.
point. The South Fork of this is the South Fork of the St. Lucie. This is the St. Lucie.
Canal. Yes,
Right here.
that's this is like right at the defining factor. So actually I specifically would take the Army Corps here. And that upper left corner of your screen is the St. Lucie Canal, man-altered. And the right side where you have those 180-degree turns is the natural condition of how the South Fork would flow. And in it, we would drive up and down looking at the depth sounder on the boat. And you would literally see it sometimes jump to 20 feet down and then come back up in the straight-aways at that normal 5-6 foot area. So there's a lot of potential for just kayaking and stuff like that, canoeing, but also protecting the rare habitat that's there.
Yeah, I think too, just after going through all this, if I were to submit for FCT funding and we acquired all three of these, I would submit for them together as one grant application.
Yes.
And then that would mean that across the three of them, we'd have to put public access facilities somewhere. So it would alleviate the burden of having to do public access for each.
Looking at them as a whole and you know, the blue outlined area, there is some higher land where you could put a kayak pull-off, a picnic table, part of Martin County's kayaking trail, you know, even a, you know, backcountry campsite or something.
Thank you, Merritt. Dan, any comments? Vicki? John?
These islands, mangrove areas, help clean up the water that go into the St. Lucie.
Yep.
That's a valuable aspect of these pieces to me. So they're important.
Habitat for the fish.
Habitat for fish.
Yep, very helpful. Yep.
And these properties are not going to break the bank. You know, so, although,
Reasonable.
yeah, although one of the properties that I mentioned where there was an unreasonable price is the property right to the north of those. Actually, I'm on the wrong one.
But Mike, we're not looking at that now, right?
Correct,
Okay. So we're just talking about these three properties.
yeah.
Okay. Tom, Kim, Beth,
No, I'm good.
David?
Okay. Well, we are on to our last one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Theoretically. So our last project that we were putting forward is Perry Beach Edition. It's also called Goose 220, I guess. So this is a small 1 acre parcel that includes beach habitat and mangroves, with the property extending all the way across Hutchinson Island from the Atlantic Ocean to the Indian River Lagoon. And it is directly adjacent to the county-managed Clifton S. Perry Beach, and then this is the House of Refuge property to its south. It's currently being listed for sale by a realtor also. It falls within the Blue Ways acquisition zone, as you can see right here. It is a fee simple acquisition, and this is another one where we would seek funding through the Florida Communities Trust program. Florida Communities Trust actually funded the acquisition of the rest of Perry Beach.
Say that again. Seek funding through,
The Florida Communities Trust program, who funded the acquisition of Perry Beach, which is right here.
for what percentage of it?
They provided 50% of the cost to acquire those properties.
Now, Mike, if this was acquired and you already have public access to Perry Beach, could you just link the properties together? I mean, would that, are you
Like a
familiar?
sidewalk maybe, or, dune crossover. It's hard because, you have a little bit of uplands right here. And then here, this whole area is within the coastal construction zone. So your ability to build any facilities would be pretty limited there. But you could put something like a dune crossover, maybe a sidewalk connection, something of that nature.
How many acres currently comprise Cliff Perry Beach?
18. So you do have a road bisecting the property, which is going to affect your habitat value, habitat quality. But otherwise, the area is pretty intact without evidence of large pockets of exotic vegetation, and it appears to be in good condition.
Yeah, especially from the ICW.
Yeah. You would have minimal cost for a property this size and with how much of it's mangroves in order to treat and maintain exotic vegetation, especially considering that there are no large-scale infestations of exotic vegetation on the property. In terms of your rares and listed species, you're going to have all your sea turtles here. So your loggerheads, greens, and leatherbacks all would nest in this area. In addition, the mangrove side, you could have Florida manatees and wood storks. And then some of those other species, you know, in terms of small-tooth sawfish or other listed species could be associated with the mangrove habitat. And it's all rare habitat, including coastal strand, which is, coastal strand is only found on barrier islands. It's probably one of the most impacted habitats that we have in the state because you can't impact mangroves, so the area that, and you can't put your house on the dunes, so the place where we put the houses is in the coastal strand. And just to give you an idea of that habitat, it's a palmetto-dominated habitat with a lot of diversity of different species, and it tends to not have much tree cover, tends to stay 6 to 8 feet tall in terms of the vegetation. This is an example of coastal strand here on the left. Once again, uplands area is too small to provide parking, but we could try and figure out some type of access facilities, a dune crossover, a sidewalk connection, or something else.
Well, but Mike, you already have the Perry Beach, right?
That's
So it's adjacent to that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have a parking lot already.
Yeah, so you're already set.
Well, if we went to Florida Communities Trust for funding, which we don't have to do, we would have to put some kind of access facilities.
Oh, I see, okay, got it.
So,
It wouldn't qualify just to walk down the beach? I mean,
I
Yeah.
think it's adjacent.
part of, it's adjacent to public lands already.
yeah, it's just a limitation of the Florida Communities Trust program. So, you know, we could certainly speak to them.
Yeah.
But if we went to them without providing access through this project, it would definitely hurt the ranking. But the acquisition, and this is more expensive because it's a barrier island, the property is right now listed for sale for $2 million, which is kind of what you're going to pay for barrier island and habitat where, you know, or a place where you could put a house on the beach. So once again, it's not something that's going to break the bank in terms of the overall cost of the program. And there's very, very few areas. I think there's 2 or 3 areas where we could actually buy beachfront habitat, undeveloped beachfront habitat at this point. So we don't have to, and we don't have to have funding partners for everything. So we could look in some of these isolated, smaller instances where the habitat is really valuable to just not have a partner. Because honestly, I particularly like having undeveloped coastal habitats. So development, you would basically, it would be limited to one house due to the coastal construction line and the mangroves.
I believe it's adjacent to the Perry Street parking lot. You could extend the Perry Beach parking lot onto this property.
I don't think you could. There's in terms of the parking at Perry Beach, it's I'd have to. Oops. Yeah, and
You may be right. I drove in there with John Mayle and
this,
I
I'll have
understood that we
to.
could extend the Perry Beach parking lot slightly onto this property.
You could not from Perry Beach.
If we don't buy it, it'll be gone as,
The good news is, 10 years from now, the house won't be there that they put up, so we'll have another opportunity.
The beach might not be there either. Or the road.
This is true.
If you'll just bear with me one.
Well, I would say, Mike, it's something, if you could look into that, please, because it's a very good point,
No, I built that parking lot.
okay?
So the parcel is, this is the parking lot up here. And this is all Perry Beach. And this is the parcel right here.
Oh, okay.
Well, I wasn't shown the right parcel then,
So
believe you.
That's John's fault.
Okay, got it.
we'll figure something out.
And again, you're right, Mike, it's $2 million,
Yeah.
and we're talking about 200 million plus partners on other things. So we're talking about $700 billion
Yes.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
At least that's what one commissioner said yesterday at a public meeting.
Sure.
So I don't think we need to go crazy
Yeah.
to get a partner on everything.
Right.
Quite well made. Public comment, Charles, or the gentleman in back? Dan, going around the horn?
I'm good.
Vicki, John?
Well, I think it's cool to be able to say, we bought farmland and we bought water, and we even bought an acre right on the Atlantic Ocean. It's a good story. Had some sizzle to it.
Thousands of acres to 1 acre. That's what we're looking at.
Well, my wife's in Chicago and she'll say, what did you do today? I'll highlight the 1 acre on the beach.
Well
And
put.
some of the people that put in money to help pass this referendum, that's what I'll tell them, and it'll make them swell up with pride.
My first project working for Martin County was to restore about a mile of beachfront habitat where Bob Grant Beach and Beach Walk Paisley is. So certainly those coastal properties have a special place for me in terms of protecting and preserving.
Good.
Well, it's also one reason why Martin County really stands out, because you folks have over the years preserved this type of land. So,
I am too.
John, any other comments, or are you good? Oh, Merritt?
I do agree. I mean, if there's no funding partners for something like this, we have the money. You could just purchase it. We're not making any more beachfront that's undeveloped.
Not within the Greenway, though, right?
Not within
Is it
the,
within the Greenway?
the Greenway.
Any green.
Any Greenway?
No, it'd be,
I mean, we would consider it to be a Blueway property for us, like,
So we qualify.
but it's not going to be like a,
Qualify that as a Greenway for the ranking.
yeah, there you
That's what I
go.
mean, the ranking, it was hard to rank these 4 properties.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is adjacent to the aquatic preserve. So the, the Indian River Lagoon in that area is an aquatic preserve. So that is a special designation on its own.
Right.
And there are areas further south, they actually have a Blueways, the state has a Indian Rural Lagoon Blueways Florida Forever project. But for whatever reason, that area of the Indian River Lagoon got left out. There's some areas south of the St. Lucie Inlet, but to me, it kind of all is a part of that Indian River Lagoon Blueway.
so when we're looking at Greenway Corridor, which I think where you're headed, Beth, we're looking at that as in an expanded context, if I
Yeah.
understand it correctly, back to Tom's point.
That's what
there.
I'm asking, yeah.
So when we rank that, we can rank it as a 0, or we could rank it as 100.
Yeah.
Which is it?
I can't tell you that. It's
No,
your job
so
to figure that
What
out.
I'm saying is maybe it's 100 based upon what Beth just raised and what Tom said.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as, it's, it's definitely part of a Blueway, right? But, because the Blueway, and the only ranking that we have really for the Blueways that's consistent is number 10. But if you pull that into the Greenway as well,
I just thought of something else. It's,
I don't know.
we have 2 state designated paddling trails in Martin County, and one is on the Indian River Lagoon, and Perry Beach is actually one of the stopovers on that paddling trail. So there you go.
Back to the question at hand, when we're ranking this,
I
Dan, what are yours, or Harry? Go ahead.
I looked at it as an expanded point and looked at it as a greenway. We're literally expanding Perry Beach as public ownership. So that in of itself, it's a micro greenway. I didn't, for the Blueways parcels, I didn't look at it as specifically having to fall into Florida Greenway corridor. I kind of expanded it to the Blueways corridor, and same thing with the parcels on the South Fork. We're expanding already publicly owned land and furthering a greenway that's there. you know,
So when we're ranking these, let's jump in, it seems as if we should really interpret that Greenway corridor as Greenway or Blueway
Blueways.
corridor. When you're presenting it, so when we're ranking it, could we do that? But if you could please point out to the BOCC what we're doing,
Okay.
because they may interpret it the same way I did, which is just a Greenway.
well, if
Or
you,
to Tom's point.
if you don't, as Tom said, it's, if you follow it strictly to, does it fall in the Greenway corridor, it's gonna be a 0. And, I mean, we have to have some faith in the commission that they're gonna examine these properties a little bit like we are. Fee simple is different than conservation easements, Blue Ways is gonna be different than, you know, a Loxalucy project that falls right in line with Florida Forever and the Greenway corridor.
But just as long as that caveat's pointed out to the board, that's all. Okay. And so when we're ranking it, it's Greenways or Blueways, folks. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. David? Okay. Great.
Might change my.
Very good job, Michael.
Thank you.
And council.
I didn't do much. It's all Michael.
Well, sagacious advice. So perhaps if we could go through, that's sort of, we've all provisionally rated these. Now what we need to do is go back. Would you like to go through each one individually, or
I
what's
think
the,
so.
what's the preference?
I would like to go through each one individually.
Okay,
But I think we need to put a time limit on each, because we're gonna get bogged down in the weeds.
okay, I'll be the electric prod.
You could, well, but I think we need to have like maybe 15 minutes of property.
Or
so
not
we
even
can
that.
get through them in
Oh,
a,
I think we will. Okay, I'll be the prod.
okay.
Or-
And once you're done ranking them, we're gonna have to hand them all in, and we're gonna tabulate the results, and then come back to you showing what the final scores for each are.
Now, is the protocol for me to go through each individually, or for you to do that?
Well, they rank ours. We just give them.
Doesn't matter? Okay, so let's do Palm Beach Heights first, please.
And we start with Beth. I want to hear other people's
Okay,
ranking, because I'm going to,
I think it would be helpful if you could just kind of pull up the presentation in case we have questions as we're going through this.
Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now, or am I not
I
on?
hear you now, yeah, you're.
Okay.
Just get closer.
Yeah, this chair's too short and I'm too
Or
short.
down there.
So Palm Beach Heights, I guess I started with the relationship to the SERP project. I gave it a 65 because it's not actually in the SERP project, but it is SERP adjacent, and it's a large amount of property that is SERP adjacent. So do we want to go through these one by one? Everybody?
yeah, let's just quickly go through them.
Okay, Greenway Corridor, 85, although it probably should be 100 if I think about it. Potential funding partners, 100. Habitat quality, 85. Gave management considerations a 60, just because of the individual parcel basis of it all. Rare listed species habitats, 85. 0 cost per acre. I gave it a 70 on recreational opportunities. I didn't rank development potential, but I think it's pretty low, maybe 40. And waterways or shoreway protection, I did not rank it.
So if everybody could please put in their final ranking for that, and then go into the next one, Family Partnership. Dan, do you want to take the lead on this, or do we want to go around the horn?
No,
What's
let me
everybody-
get down, let me get past the first couple,
Yeah.
Okay,
because I was a little disjointed as to some
I
of the
really-
definitions.
Yeah, and if there's
Okay.
opportunity for discussion as well, because some of us may,
Okay.
I mean, my rationale is not necessarily the best rationale.
okay, so Palm Beach Heights, any further discussion on that? David? No. Yeah, Penny.
Once you go through this first one, do you want to start handing in your sheets?
Yeah, I
then,
think
or
we
do you wanna
can.
Hold them until then?
Do you want our
Hold
names
them.
on them?
No, great point.
Yes, I need your
That's the way
names.
she can get going on it.
Please make sure you put your names on each sheet.
I'll just tell you
Or
where
initials?
I differ with,
initials work?
I gave in the waterways, shoreline protection, I gave it a higher score than you.
Okay.
I just thought it was important, even though they were very, very small parcels. Taken together, they're unique in the way they present what's going on. Recreational opportunities, I think I'm also higher than you. I gave it a 40, because as we acquire more, it'll be more and more, it'll be easier to have recreational in that.
So I gave it a 70. So
Oh, okay, and I don't know.
development potential was a 40.
Yeah, I gave it a 0 because I don't think there's any development potential. Because from what I understand, it'll never have a roadway in it by county ordinance. It will never have zoning by county ordinance. It'll never have a parcel, it will have parcel numbers, but it will never be a plat by county ordinance.
I'm a never say never.
Well, they'd have to change ordinances to do that, so I really don't think there's any development potential. That's
No,
all.
it's helpful. David, any comments?
No, I'm right around that same area.
Just going around the horn. Dan?
Good.
Vicky?
I'm good.
John?
The only thing I had was different was on the first one on SERP. I hear you at 50 or whatever you had, but I put it 100 because it's in the SERP zone.
Well, it's SERP adjacent. It's not in the zone.
Well, yes, it is in the zone. I don't care what they say. It's in the zone.
It's not in any SERP footprint. It's, there are specific parcels that are within the SERP footprints for Palmar.
Okay.
That's why I ranked it, but you can rank it how you like.
Yes.
That's otherwise interesting. I had some of the same numbers.
Okay, that's great. Merritt?
I had some different and some the same. I looked at development potential. I gave it 80 because, I look at this area. It is being developed and impacted actively, and that's why it's been such a hot topic for debate. So I'm not looking at development potential always as legally or illegally. I mean, that development that's going on isn't legal, but it's happening. So it's there. So that's why I gave it a higher development potential. Management considerations were a 40 because of the individual parcels. But as it's acquired, if we're looking at this and there's 10 parcels left that we're acquiring them all, that management considerations would be 100 once we have a large group. So those were a few of, where I differed slightly. Recreational opportunities were a 40, again, because of the smaller parcels, but that would change as the acquisitions increase.
Thank you, Merritt. Any further comments before we pass them in? Okay, so if everybody could please.
Colleen is going to come around and collect. Colleen, you have access to the thing? So, all right. Let me know if you have any questions on that.
Thank you, Colleen.
Thank-
Okay, moving forward to the Thal Family Partnership. Perhaps going, let's see, Dan, did you want to take a pass on that going?
I'm happy going down there.
Okay.
She's smarter than I am.
Going to be our default. How about
She has
Penny?
the
Do you want to do it?
environmental
No.
ecological
Absolutely
background, hydraulic.
Well, I mean, I don't remember why I did the scoring now, but I can tell you what the scores were, and I think this was one of my highest scoring projects. I think relation to SERP or SERP adjacent was 100. Greenway corridor was 100. Potential funding partners was 80. Habitat quality was 90. Management considerations were 90. Rare listed species or habitat was an 80. Recreational opportunities a 50. Development potential a 40. And waterway or shoreline protection 100.
It may come as a surprise to everybody, but I pretty much agree with Camp Penny. Okay,
That's scary.
Dan, do you want to jump in?
Well, I'm good. I'm good.
Vicky?
I pretty much Almost the same.
Yeah, I was almost the same.
I was fairly high on this one, 80s and 90s. I guess my general philosophy, I've had a hard time ranking full hundreds out of many of the properties, but I was always a B student, and it's hard to, get that straight A, I guess. Some did make the 100 mark, but
Well, maybe you should have a bumper sticker like mine, which says, "I was an honor student, but I don't know what happened."
true.
Okay. Tom, any other thoughts?
No.
So I was a little lower on relation to SERP and Greenway, because they're adjacent and not actually part of, so 65 and 85 respectively. A little lower on development potential at 20, because it's already under conservation easement.
Not, it's
It's,
not under.
oh, this is the wrong one? Val?
That's another one.
Oh, that's a different one, I'm sorry.
Which one?
Sorry, can you bring it up really quick so I can look at it?
Thal Family Partnership?
Oh, God, sorry.
It's
Yeah.
all right. It's been a long day.
Is that that's 710?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do about a 50% on that then, on development. And then otherwise, I was pretty close to the same. Other than, I didn't rank any of them on the waterways or shoreline protection unless they were specifically related to the blueways. So,
Makes sense. David?
I was right footstep with Tom, pretty much.
Thank you. Okay, so if we could please,
yeah, my name's on it.
this is when Michael's Excel spreadsheet
This is
kicks in.
Colleen's workout.
Now, if it was me, I would have probably messed up the formulas,
By the
so.
6th or 7th property, she's going to be Zumbaing through the floor, probably.
Yeah, well, we'll take a break after this.
Yeah, no, and we're going to need time to still score everything, so.
Yeah. Okay. Going ahead to J.R. Stewart Land, going around the horn. Dan?
On the relation to the SERP, I've got 75.
Yep.
Greenway Corridor was excellent at 90. Potential funding for the partners was low, so that has to be a 25. Habitat quality was excellent, 90. Management considerations high, so that would, and this is where we got into the management considerations.
Yes.
And I think it's a high number. Is that what we're looking for? That's what I thought.
If it's adjacent or near another property, Dan, where they, okay.
All right, rare or listed species, a minimum, that's low. Estimated cost is 0. Recreational opportunities high, 75. And development potential was limited, very poor, so I got 25 on that. And I didn't put a waterways on it.
Yeah. Didn't either.
Vicki?
I put a waterways just because of it being 72% of the property is wet. It's classified as priority 1, and then 28% of the acreage is a 3. I really don't know how to measure these, Mike, as far as, these,
The waterway access.
yeah, the waterway.
The-
And I
the-
think I'm hearing that from others as
The
well.
intent of that criteria was more to ensure access to waterways.
It's waterway specific,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so, because we have other ones that could handle things like, aquifer recharge, that could be considered as something for, habitat quality or greenways or different ones like that. So it's more access related.
That's what I thought.
So low on this one,
I didn't put anything.
yeah. Okay.
Frank Keller?
I don't have any observations on this one, close to the same.
Merritt?
So this one already had a conservation easement on it. I had a 10 for development potential. And potential funding partners, I had a 20. They were fairly low. Most of my others, though, were in that 80 range. I'm ranking waterways protection, I guess, slightly higher for me. Anything, whether it's just pasture land, anything that's not cement that we are keeping in perpetuity as pervious natural lands, is waterways and shoreline protection, in my mind. Now, I'm ranking that, but that in and of itself, keeping it green in some state, from the one point being ag land on up to pristine natural condition, is aquifer recharge and waterways protection. So almost all of these that we're looking at, I give them a baseline of 50 or 60 to start with, just from being undeveloped and stopping them from being pavement or one house per 20 acres, is how I'm looking at waterways protection.
Thank you.
I have a big agreement with Merritt and a big disagreement with Merritt on this. On the agreement, the waterways and shoreline protection, I absolutely agree with you, Merritt. If it's preserving any way we can hold water, I think that's what that's protecting. My disagreement is on development rights. If it already has a conservation easement, that's it. We can't make it be anything more by purchasing it. Do I have the right property here?
So it should be 0.
I have it as 0,
I have it
exactly.
as 10. I mean, because the conservation easement is not over the entire property, I believe, on this one.
It is.
Oh,
It's over the entire property, but it was.
There's a couple
put
of
on it as a
carve-outs.
Mitigation
Yeah.
bank, and I think that.
Mitigation.
that was it. I'm having trouble going back
Yeah,
to, after
They're
15
gonna go to the
properties.
South Florida Water Management District, they're
That
threatening.
was why the 10 was there. They were,
Correct.
they were
So-
going to argue that they were going to remove.
We could argue it one way or the other.
It should be 0, or I gave it 10 out of 100.
I did the same. Yeah, I had a 10% on development potential as well, because, boards change and philosophies change, and now they can change their mind. Everything else was pretty consistently with what everyone else had. I think I had a 30% on potential funding partners, and that's it. Or 30, I guess, not percent, but I can't think of anything different from 0 to 100 as anything other than percentage.
Mr. Campenny.
No, I just spoke about it.
Okay. David.
Yeah, I just would be echoing what Tom and Merritt had said about any land we preserve is, to me, the same, waterways and shorelines preservation, so I'm going to give it a score for sure at some point.
Thank you. Okay, let's hand these in.
Colleen, can I just run up and get them for you?
By the way, thank you for the hard work under the gun. So looking at Elise J.
Yep.
Dan, do you want to take it off, or are you okay? Will you go around the horn like this, or do you prefer?
I'd rather
some
start
other
with
format?
Mary.
Okay.
Whoops,
I'm sorry.
I said I'd rather start with her.
Oh,
because it's
With
circle.
Beth.
well, we
Oh,
did
yeah.
that last time, but I got some pushback on immediately going to Beth, so I just want to be sure everybody has a chance to.
I'm good.
Vicki,
Sure, I can go ahead. Okay, so this is Elise J.
Elise J., correct.
For the IRL, I put it under the IRL designation 80, Greenway 90, funding, possible South Florida water management, Florida Forever 40, habitat quality 85, management considerations 80, and rare or listed species habitats 85. And recreational, I gave it a 60 because it's hiking, hunting, fishing, adjacent to, connection to Harmony. And then development, that one's low. 20,
25.
25? Yeah. And then following Merritt's train of thought of 50 on the waterways.
John Keller?
For some reason, I was just a little higher on all these, all your numbers. I don't know why, but I got a bunch of hundreds here. And, but close to the same up and downs.
You know what,
Hurt the
on-
overall scores.
On number 9, though, the developmental potential, it is listed on different Realtor sites, so I don't know if that escalates the potential for development.
I had development at 80. I guess I think all these properties, these sharp developers are gonna get around whatever restrictions and legislation are, and all these properties have a little higher development potential than I think what we sit here think. I just think it's gonna happen.
Good point, John.
This is true.
Merritt?
Yeah, I'm in the 80s and 90s. Something Beth said earlier about this property and the J.R. Stewart as far as waterways protection, the two being almost the dividing point for the Loxalucy as far as where waterways flows, probably helped me rank a lot of these numbers as higher. This one being water, I think, if I'm correct, flowing down south of the Loxahatchee. The property we just talked about, J.R. Stewart, water flowing or a drop of rain would hit that and flow north to the South Fork of the St. Lucie River.
It's a reverse.
Yes. Sorry. But these two properties encompass a lot of what the Loxalucy initiative was all about. The best way to preserve a water body is to start at its headwaters and from there preserve going down. So both these, after Beth made that comment, kind of raised all my numbers on the properties.
Thank you. Tom?
I just have high numbers like John on this property, so.
Yeah, I have high numbers. I gave it 100 for relationships to SERP since it's actually in the footprint. And this is the one time where I broke with my consistency and did rank it for waterways protection because it is in the SERP plan and it is intended to help protect the St. Lucie.
Thank you, Beth. David?
Yeah, I went high on this one as well. I'm sure a lot of it's because it's between two, conserved areas already, so just to connect those two.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sorry.
You got,
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, going on to SS Farms. Now, is everybody okay if I just go around the horn like this, or do you prefer some other form?
Just, mix it up.
David?
So I'm probably gonna change it as you guys talk, because you guys give me some
I know.
good thoughts. So here's where I'm at right now. So I put it relation to SERP at 100. This was also before I understood that we were supposed to be going up to 100. So I've gone back and re-scored these, and I probably, like I said, will again. But I put SERP at 100, Greenway at 100, potential funding partners at 100, Habitat at 80, management at 100, the species at 80. I didn't put recreation, and I think it would probably be low because that's going to be potentially rural family land, so I put it really low. Development potential, I also did not fill that in. Then 25 for waterways and shorelines, but I'm sure those are going to shift as you guys talk.
That didn't seem like we looked at the same thing.
yeah, I'm really different. So I didn't give it any relation to SERP. Greenway corridor at 50% because it's kind of just adjacent. I gave it a 90 on potential funding partners, 30 on habitat quality, 5 to 10 on management considerations because we weren't really sure how or who was going to manage it, and so I could be convinced to change that. 30 on rare or listed habitat, And I did give it, I gave it an 80 on recreational because of the Indiantown Road component. And the fact that Mike said that they wouldn't execute this without having some language related to that. Am I right there? Okay. 30% on development, and again, nothing on waterways protection.
Okay, Tom?
I'm in David's categories, so, no, he's saying the same thing again.
Pretty much same here. Merit?
I'm fairly similar to Beth, 40, in relationship to SERP. Management potential was a 40 as well. And recreational, I had it at a 0, but hearing Beth's comments and remembering that, I'm at a 50. The others are fairly similar.
John Keller?
I'm almost identical. You're 100 on SERP and so forth. You use the same hundreds and 80s that I do. So I'm right on with him. I am higher on recreation and development, but basically the same.
Vicki?
I'm good.
Ann?
Good.
Okay. So if we could pass them in, folks. Okay, Turnpike Dairy, this time, okay, if I start off with Vicki
Me?
on this one?
I'm glad to. I have relationship to SERP 90, Greenway 100, potential funding partners 80, habitat quality 80, management consideration 80, rare listed species 80, recreational opportunities 40, development potential 80, waterways 90.
Okay. Vicki, your thoughts?
Come back to me.
Recreational opportunities for this one was 0.
Yeah, 0.
Yes.
It's a farm, we can't use it.
That's management potential, kind of per our discussions, if it's, I'm more at that 50% mark if it's,
Yeah.
the split between Martin County managing it strictly for waterways and shorelines protection and trying to get it as natural as possible would be 100. But then we also have there's no funds from Martin County being spent to management if it's under a conservation easement. So that's where I'm at, that 50% for management. Everything else is fairly close there, but again, if public can't access it, there's no recreational opportunities.
Right.
Well, you had this disagreement with, so there's no sense going over again. I don't think we should even be considering this property.
It doesn't mean I don't love you anymore.
No, I think this is a realtor trying to take advantage of this committee and the funds it has.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, my rankings are fairly low. I mean, it is SERP adjacent, so I gave it a 50, and Greenway corridor adjacent, so 55, and 60% for funding partners. But habitat quality and rare endangered or rare enlisted species habitats and are in the 10 to 25%. So
David?
This one was high scores for me. I put development high because I do know that's a pretty hot area. It's only a matter of time for that. The amount of traffic that goes through there, and with it being so close to Alapata and Bull Hammock, it's in a good spot to continue that little corridor there. So, the recreation, I definitely, there's not going to be any recreation if this happens because it is a working ranch. They'll probably chase you off with a gun. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know that, but I would. But I put this at a high score because it is preserving that agricultural land. So.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, looking at Whitworth Farms, Merritt, do you want to take the lead on this one?
Sure. Relationship to SERP, I had an 80. Greenway Corridor, I had a 90. Potential funding partners, I believe I had 100. Habitat quality was an 80. Management considerations was an 80. And same with rare and endangered species, or rare and listed species was an 80. Recreational opportunities was a 75. Development potential was an 80. And waterway shoreline protection was a 90.
John Keller?
The only one, for some reason, I'm only a 10 on SERP. Otherwise, and I can't defend myself. I don't know where I got that from. Otherwise,
You forgot
I'm
a
very
zero.
similar.
I think you forgot a 0.
I may change my vote.
Vicki?
I gave it high marks all the way down. Yeah.
Dan?
And with the waterways, I gave it a 90 just because the South Fork runs right through the middle of the property.
Yep, great point.
I'm pretty much in line with Merritt on.
Changed it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm in line with Merritt.
I am also in line with Merritt, and I did rank this one for waterways because a river runs through it.
Yeah,
So to speak.
same.
That's a quotable quote. Okay,
I didn't make it up.
I will admit, I was ranking them 0 through 10 at the beginning, so a lot of these have just had a 0.
Go back.
So was I, Merritt, so changing them as we're going, right now.
Just add a 0.
In my defense, there's been a lot that have been like 85s and 65, so it sounded like we needed a little bit more than 1 through 10 to rank them.
Yeah, is it- okay.
okay, Ponciana Gardens. Or Farms. Let's see. Beth, you want to take the lead on this one?
Okay, yeah, I did a SERP adjacent, so 75, Greenway Corridor 100, potential funding partners 50, habitat quality 60, management I don't remember this, management considerations 25, just because of the lots. Listed or rare species 70, recreational opportunities 50, development potential 90. And again, I didn't rank it for, although, yeah, I didn't rank it for waterways or shoreline.
Thomas?
I'm pretty much in line with Beth, except that I gave it a low score for recreational,
Me too.
and I gave it a high score for development because
Yeah, I did too.
of the individual
25 and 80.
lots.
David?
Yeah, same as Tom, but I also put low potential for funding partners.
Yes, so
I
did
did
I.
too.
Okay. Merritt?
Yeah, I was at 100 for development potential just because it's already plotted that way. Most of the others were fairly similar. 30 for potential funding partners and 30 for recreational opportunities.
John Keller?
I'm low on this one for potential funding partners. Who's the potential funding partners on this one? I've forgotten.
Rural family and lands, wasn't it?
What's that?
No, there is
We're
none because
not.
there's such a small lots.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Lots.
That was
I
the
had it
next
at
one.
10.
Me too.
Yes, I could have probably gone lower than 30.
I think got 30.
Oh, okay, well, I
leave it
feel
at
better
10.
then. I'll leave it at 10. It's good to have some
RFL was
variety.
under the next one.
Vicki, how about you?
I gave the funding partners a 10 as well, just because of it being in so many different parcels. Pretty much,
And how about you?
I gave them low marks.
Management considerations 25 and habitat quality was 50, potential funding partners was 30, and recreational was 25.
Yeah, I gave that a 20.
Okay.
Past the halfway mark.
Yeah, we were at the halfway mark, celebrate. Ring a bell.
Good.
Okay, Leonard, who wants to take the lead on this one?
Thank you.
How about Mr. Keller?
All right, I'm glad to. Leonard Parcels, right? Okay, I got SERP 10, Greenway 40, potential funding 100, habitat quality 40, management consideration 100, rare listed species 80, recreational opportunity 50, development potential 100, waterways 80.
Okay. Merritt?
Going on down the list, top to bottom, I've got 50, 80, 80, 70, 40, 80, 0, 70, and 70.
Vicki?
I'm pretty much in line with Merritt.
Dan, how about you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Mr. Campini?
Barrett, why did you rate it so high in development potential?
Me?
Yeah, Merritt.
Well, 70, it was one house per 20 acres. Proximity to Bridge Road
Okay.
bumped it up in my mind. And I'm looking at my notes, and I have fee simple or conservation easement.
Is this just fee simple?
This was the one, no, this was there was the owner wanted $30 million for 250 acres.
So he wants it in a conservation.
Yes, and
Hold on
so
to it, but see that it-
that is why I had it at 0, because it was clear from his price that he only is really wanting a conservation easement, so I have 0 for recreational
Yeah, me
opportunities.
too.
Yeah, I agree with
And it
you.
was the proximity, I think, to Bridge Road
Okay.
Yeah.
for just the potential in that area.
I'm pretty
Higher
much like
development.
Merritt and all the other.
I ranked it the same way and it says agricultural conservation easement, not a conservation easement, right? So I did 0 for recreational as well and 75 for development potential because of the access to Bridge Road. So,
Yeah, I'm around there too. Same.
Okay.
Es vive my nombre. I forgot.
Okay, Rogers Atlantic Ridge. David, are you okay leading this?
Sure. I put, going down the line, I got 20, 90, 20, 80, 70, 50, 90, 10, and 25.
I'm not sure I tied. Better if you indicate what I lost columns there.
Oh, sure.
Say which column it is.
Sure. So,
Sure.
SERP 20, Greenway 90, funding partners 20, Habitat 80, management consideration 70, rare species 50, recreation 90, development potential 10, and waterways 25.
On information, the development potential, what was the thinking there, David? In terms of it being that low?
It was 4.
Because I think it was because of the size and the amount of wetlands. That's with it being so small.
3-acre parcel.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I'm identical, so almost identical to David, except for the wetlands, the waterways protection, rather. And so I got that at 70, because I think it's an important buffer. It's a wetland-dominated property, so I gave that a much higher score. But all my other scores are about similar to David.
I'm pretty close. I'm a little higher on development potential, I guess at 50. But otherwise, and I'm lower on habitat and habitat quality and rare or listed species in 40 and 30 respectively.
Ann and
I'm good.
I'm good.
Good, yeah, I'm close to them.
I had a 20 for potential funding partners. Don't remember why, but
I know.
I believe it was the size of the parcel, and I don't believe that was an option. Other than that, I'm fairly close. 90 for waterways and shoreline protection on this one.
Okay. There we go. Next is Julian Rogers. Should ask Charles to do this one. No. Dan, are you okay doing this one, leading off? or-
Yeah, I can do it. I've gone on SERP, I got 0. Greenway, I got 90, 75 on potential, 20 on habitat, 90 on management considerations, 40 on rare or listed species, 50 on recreational opportunities, development potential 20, and waterways 50.
And Beth, this is not in the SERP area?
No.
Wasn't even close.
I have it kind of nominally SERP adjacent, so I gave it a 25.
Got it. Let me going along. Okay, David, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I was as well.
Yeah, this isn't, it might be, hang on, make sure I have the right property.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. Rare species.
This is not the Julian Rogers parcel, right? Or is
Yes.
it is
Yes.
the Julian Rogers parcel.
Yeah, the
Okay.
conservation fund.
Management considerations, I've got a 50, but I had a 0 for rare or listed species and a 20 for habitat quality, but a 25 to 50 for recreational opportunities. And I guess I broke my consistency again. I gave it a 60 for waterways protection just because it has the potential to feed Kitchen Creek, I believe. So,
I just gave this low scores throughout, nothing over a 60. And I think it's one of those properties that it's already being conserved, and I think we should use our money on properties that may not be conserved in the future. And I understand that the Conservation Fund will take that money and use it to buy more properties, but I think working in partnership, we could work with them and take our money and buy properties that the Conservation Fund would do, and it would save a lot of closing costs and stuff. Just make it a lot simpler going forward.
The attorneys will not be happy.
Well, our attorneys get paid no matter what, and I'm sure the conservation attorneys get paid no matter what.
Anybody else before we move on? Barrett, John?
I was similar and fairly low rankings, except for pretty high on management potential, because I know if the county's controlling it, there are a lot of opportunities they could do with the land that we probably won't see happen with the conservation fund, as an increased management opportunity and recreational opportunities there for restoration. But again, development potential 20. It's already in conservation.
Good point. Mr. Keller?
I'm fine on all these, on that one.
Dan?
I'm good.
Vicki?
I'm good.
Okay. Okay, Petway project, property. Let's see. Tom Campenny, you want to lead off?
Sure. I gave it a 40 with relationship to SERP, an 80 for the Greenway, a 60 for potential funding partners, Habitat 70, management considerations a 60, rare habitat 50, recreational opportunities at 20, development potential at 20, and waterway and shoreline protections an 80.
What was your last one, Tom?
Waterway and shoreline, 80.
Beth?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
A little variable on that, 25 for SERP, 40 for Greenway. I get an 80 for potential partners, 50 for habitat quality, 50 for management considerations, 30 for rare or listed habitat, 70 for recreational opportunities, and 50 for development potential, just because of its proximity to other areas. And then again, flowway, waterways are, because it would offer protection again for Kitchen Creek. 75, sorry.
David?
I went for SERP 20, Greenway 90, Partners 80, Habitat 20, Management 10. I'm not sure why I went so low. Species 30, Recreation 40, Development 50, and Waterways 75.
Dan?
I'm close. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm close.
John Keller?
Now, the only thing I've noticed, consistency is within ourselves is probably more important than consistency within the committee. Tom is consistently lower than I am on development and recreation, and actually so is Merritt. But I'm consistent from one piece of land to the other, just being slightly higher than they are. So I just make that observation.
I'm at an 80 for recreational opportunities with this one, just like the one prior.
So do I.
The counties, these are both in areas where the county could have a lot of potential in, increasing the recreational opportunities. 50 for relationship to SERP. 90 for the Greenway corridor, and fairly similar for most of the others.
Just for the record, I'm pretty much in John Keller's camp, so I'm usually 10 to 15 higher than most. So, but, great. Any other?
I'm a hard grader.
That's what I was told when I graded.
Okay, Jane Wild. Who would like to take the lead on this one?
You want to combine the?
Yeah, we,
The next three, I did all the same.
right, me too.
Okay, then with that in mind, I'm thinking,
Isn't
Beth,
this, is this Janewell? What happened to the
Yes.
Cresser parcel?
It's next,
It's-
it's,
Oh,
That's
I got it
third.
mixed up a little bit, okay.
I got mine mixed up too. I had to change the headings.
I do that all the time. So Beth, you want to take the lead on these?
Okay. Relation to SERP, I may change, somebody can convince me to change this. I put a 0 because it's not in the SERP project. Although the St. Lucie River, I mean, the whole intent of the SERP project is to improve the St. Lucie River. So I could be convinced to raise that score. Not in the Greenway corridor, so 0. Potential funding partners, I said 75%, or 75. Habitat quality, 75 to 80. Management considerations, I put 25, but also made a comment, little need for management. 90 to 100 on listed species. 50 to 75 for recreational opportunities, simply because it's accessible mostly by boat. There are some land access, but probably hard to gather. And then a 25 on development potential and 100 on shoreway, waterways or shoreline protection.
You know, I agree. It's hard. You want to give, I gave both Greenway and SERP zeros,
Right.
but you want to give them something.
Right, exactly.
But according to our criteria, they don't fall within that.
Right.
So I'm really torn. So unless we're going to put our finger on it and fudge it, I think that we have to leave it at 0 to be consistent.
I thought we added Blue Ways to that, right
I
under
did too.
Greenway.
Greenway or Blueway.
Well, yeah, we may have added it, but, you know, that's not in the criteria in the book. And doesn't that what counts? I mean, how does the commission know what we're talking about if we say, oh, we're going to add Blue Ways, but Blue Ways wasn't part of the criteria that was given to us?
So Mike and council, what would you suggest?
That's tricky. I mean, overall, the board is going to look at your overall scores, but how do you think they factor in
Blue Ways.
access, you know, to,
See to me, Mike, that if you point out to the
It does
board,
include, in terms of a greenway, it does include, so criteria number 2, lands that are near other conservation lands that are protected for conservation, provide connectivity for wildlife, and are of higher value than isolated, inaccessible, and fragmented natural areas. So
Yeah.
that's actually a part of it.
That's
You
the
know, and-
definition of a greenway.
yeah, that's a
We're
greenway.
not doing the Florida Greenway corridor. Is this a greenway? Is it connecting or,
A part of
Furthering a
greenway
greenway.
doesn't have to be just the state.
So if I were to make a request that, I'm picking up on Tom's point, so please edit this, but basically, when you're talking with the county commissioners, that you say that we have amended this, which we hope is okay, to include blueways, greenways and blueways, as we discussed before, but it'd be really important to point that out.
I don't think you're going to get any pushback from them.
Okay, so council, you're okay with that too?
I'm okay with that. And if all of you are in agreement, you could vote on that.
Yeah, why don't you ask?
Okay, so I would have a motion that we amend that verbiage, Greenway actually, why don't you make the motion? You're so good at this stuff.
Okay, so I motion that we also include in the Greenway corridor Blue Ways as to, Council?
Connectivity to
Connectivity.
other natural areas, or yes.
okay, as to that that's fine with me. Motion maker says yes.
I
second?
would second it.
You can't second, you're the chair.
Oh, wait a minute.
I did. Second.
Merit second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay.
Good job,
Okay.
Camp Penny.
But
So have you got that for
you
the,
hold that map up right. Do you have the map that's further zoomed out? Because
It's not, it's,
all up and down the South Fork, there are greenways that we're connecting.
Here, let me, you you're gonna have to bear with me. Because I gotta go down to the area, and then I gotta turn on the. So anything in green,
Oh, it is on the river.
the purple is PAMPS, but anything that is green is conservation. So you can see this is Kiplinger Preserve. These are Audubon parcels right here.
Exactly.
This is a county STA. This is Delaplane Preserve right here. This is Oxbow, even though it shows up in blue. So that's right. Sorry, this map is annoyingly
Yeah.
thing done. And then if you continue on, you have Halpatioke and Atlantic Ridge all on the South Fork. So,
And Mike, to expand, a PAMP is Preserve Area Management Plan, similar to a conservation easement, is what we're talking. I mean,
yeah, it's a conservation easement.
Exactly.
It's essentially a conservation easement with the county.
and again, if we look at criteria number 1, relationship to SERP, comprehensive Everglades restoration plan. The South Fork of the St. Lucie River is part of the northern Everglades. So this isn't a SERP project. This is literally just preserving the land in the northern Everglades. We don't have to follow SERP. This is doing the goal of it. So for me, I rank that as, I give it an 80, but it's right up there. It achieves SERP without needing any funding partners or following all the bureaucratic red tape. That's part of the goal.
Yeah, you know what, Merritt, you're right.
I mean, that's it. And we're kind of splitting hairs between, I look at it, I don't need to follow the definition of Florida's mapped out greenway. A greenway corridor is a natural, undeveloped connection of land that animals can traverse, or, we're stretching it into the blue ways. So imagine a turtle or a manatee being able to graze along seagrass along the shoreline. All of the yellow and undeveloped shoreline is where it can go and graze. That's the blue ways corridor, or I generally would consider a greenway corridor, whether it's uplands or aquatic, to fall into the same criteria. And then management of a mangrove swamp, really the most that we can do besides just improving water quality flowing through that mangrove swamp is trash pickup and less pollution. We're not getting in there, I don't believe, and restoring these active parcels, but they really require almost no management. So I ranked all of these really fairly high. 80s, 90s, and 95s.
Well, I did now too.
Yeah, I mean, so I did pretty much the same as Merritt.
Well, now we have a reason to do it without.
Yeah.
And I agree with those reasons, except for the consideration of criteria number 1, because the guidance is fairly specific that says acquiring land for these SERP projects will help improve. It doesn't necessarily talk about the goals. I agree with your explanation, but I still don't think I can change my score as a result of it.
Understand. So, Mike, maybe you just point out that some folks felt specifically it should refer to the SERP project. Others felt that on a macro basis, it contributed to the overall improvement of the ecosystem. Not that confuses things, but, okay. So, anybody else want to weigh in on
Just a
Vicki?
question. So, Merritt, you're saying you did give a score to column number 1?
Yes, I put it as an 80 as far, I mean, Martin,
And what about number 2? And then you also rated number 2.
2 was an 80 as well.
Because that's also waterway.
The blue ways.
Yes, we're enhancing or continuing a corridor. Granted, most of it is aquatic,
Right.
but it's a natural, untouched corridor. that shoreline is natural. That's what we're continuing on.
Yeah, and it can be to me, a greenway can be a blueway. So, you know, it can be like.
Well, we motioned it now, so
So it is.
I think we're good. We're done on that.
it's an explanation that we've all agreed on.
We turn all three in at the same time?
Yes, please.
Make sure you sign them.
Good luck with that.
We're doing all three at once. You don't pick up all three.
I put your name on all these.
All done. Yay.
Hold it.
Last but not least.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
I can still count at this hour.
Mr. Chairman, you do this one. You haven't done one. You lead one.
You know, in truth, I haven't totally, this is the one I hadn't finished, in truth.
Well, that's not my problem.
That's my problem.
Let somebody else.
Exactly.
But I'm going to ask you to go ahead, Penny, since you volunteered.
Well, then you give me a minute.
Okay, well, you did the
'cause
same
gotta
thing I did.
transfer. No, I got to transfer.
He's my younger brother, just so you know. So this is we're also both from New York. So,
No, I'm from New York. You're from a place where the rich live.
no, I'm well, I'm not going to comment on that.
Oh, you can't.
But somebody I know has an apartment in Greenwich, Connecticut. So that's called the pot calling the kettle black.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, let her rip.
In consideration of our newest merit-induced, I gave relationship to SERP 80%, even though, because of the Indian River Lagoon on one side. The Greenway Corridor, 80%. Potential funding partners, 70%. Habitat quality, 80%. Management considerations, 100. Rare or listed species, 90. Development potential, 90. Waterway or shoreline protection, 80.
Beth, please.
I'm a little higher on some and a little lower on others. Obviously, SERP, I gave a 0. 100 on Greenway, 50 on funding partners, 85 habitat quality, 85 management considerations, 90 on rare or listed species, 100 for recreational activities, 100 for development potential, and 100 for waterways or shoreline protection.
I was pretty much with Tom, except, and I wanted to go with Merritt's explanation, but I did put that 0 for SERP. But I really wanted to give more than that.
I was within 5 to 10 of everything Tom said on that one.
John Keller, please.
I have a perfect scorecard here. For SERP 0, it's the furthest thing from the Everglades, so I gave it a 0. Everything else I gave 100. It's a perfect scorecard.
Vicki?
I was in line with Tom.
Okay.
I did 0 on SERP.
I was going to say, in spite of yourself, Penny, our leader.
I was following my recommended biologist friend.
Great. So we can pass these in. Now, we can take a 5-minute break, or
Let me ask,
What else we got to do?
I'm going to ask Colleen how long it will take to compile these results. Did you start?
I started, yes.
Okay.
Gosh, at least probably,
20 minutes.
I was going to say 20, 25 minutes to get all the data in.
Okay.
so maybe reconvene at 4 o'clock? Is that what you're thinking?
What else?
What
we
other
had to
business
do?
do we have?
Why don't we, well, no, we have to go through the scores and show the ranks.
I understand that, but besides that, what other?
So here's a question for you. We can go out of order as it relates to the agenda and jump ahead to our next meeting if everybody's okay with that. Or do you want to take a break for 5 or 10 minutes?
No, I just assume us
Go
continue to-
proceed? Is everybody okay with that? Sure. Vicki?
I'd keep going.
Okay,
Next meeting?
Yeah, so we're going to jump around. Are you okay with this, Mr. Campenny, or are you going to beat up me again?
No, you're jumping around on the agenda that's already printed. You can take it out of order. You just can't make one up as you go along.
I will mention that our minute taker is busy,
Okay,
so we can't get into like big discussions.
Let's take a break.
well, let's,
Let's take a 5-minute bathroom break and
Yeah, let's do,
Okay.
take a break.
see where we are.
so let's come back at, let's make it 20 minutes of 4, okay?
Oh, shucks. Well,